It was a famous story when Elon Musk predicted that Apple's unfair behavior towards competitors would have bad results, and when Elon scoffed at Apple, stating that Tesla's technology wouldn't bludgeon its rivals by making it incompatible with other firms' goods. Well, as it seems, Elon was right. Apple faces several serious issues and various legal battles. First, the company was caught cheating in business by trying to destroy competitors like Cydia. With that, another complaint accuses Apple of unfairly charging and taking money from clients for every single transaction in Apple Pay. The situation is so bad that the EU got involved and accused Apple of being unfair, and as a result, the tech giant might be fined an astonishing $36.6 billion, which would be catastrophic for the world's largest company. And that's why Apple tried a few astonishing things to avoid this fine. This is a very interesting story, so let's explain it. Apple Pay is the subject of a potential class action lawsuit about an unlawful stranglehold it has over contactless payments on the iPhone that allows it to compel card issuers to pay fees. Affinity Credit Union, based in Iowa, is the party that filed the complaint, and it hopes to have other card issuers join it. Affinity Credit Union offers Apple Pay compatible debit and credit cards. Apple's anti-competitive behavior, according to the complainant, Iowa's Affinity Credit Union binds more than 4,000 banks and credit unions to use Apple Pay. The case claims that Apple profits over $1 billion a year from charging clients up to 0.15% for every transaction in Apple Pay fees. The lawsuit claims that by restricting Apple Pay to be the only service available for NFC payments on its iPhones, iPads, and Apple Watches, Apple violates antitrust laws. Additionally, it claims that Apple forbids card companies from passing on such costs to users, depriving iPhone users of any motivation to look for a less expensive payment option. This is the third time the business has brought an antitrust lawsuit against a big tech company. The outcome of a lawsuit like this, which contends that Apple has a monopoly on tap and pay iOS mobile wallets, may depend on what the court determines to be the relevant market, as it did in the Epic v. Apple trial. Even while a judge might concur that this is the case, they can still rule that there isn't an absolute monopoly because users can always use another mobile wallet by switching to Android. Class action status is not automatically awarded in lawsuits. Rather, a judge must determine whether to do so. Hagens Berman, the law firm representing Affinity, has experience with class action lawsuits against Apple. It was involved in obtaining a $100 million settlement for developers who claim that the App Store's policies were unfair, as well as the ebook price-fixing case, which resulted in Apple returning about $400 million to buyers. The action is intended to reform Apple's regulations that require all contactless purchases to go through Apple Pay and to force the company to compensate card issuers for the costs that the plaintiffs contend were improperly assessed. There are further concerns with the way Apple Pay is implemented. The EU recently protested the issue that third-party developers aren't allowed to utilize the iPhone's NFC technology for payments, saying that this limits innovation and reduces fair competition for digital wallets on iPhones. The business could now have to contend with legal action in the US about the problem. It also claimed that Apple's actions reduce the company's motivation to improve Apple Pay's functionality and make it more secure. According to the case, Apple's actions hurt not just issuers, but also customers and the competition as a whole. The complaint calls on Apple to stop its claimed anti-competitive behavior, in addition to unspecified triple damages. The business already faces the prospect of a heavy penalty after European Union authorities said it had exploited its control over mobile wallets and iOS devices by denying competitors in the payment industry availability to its technology. After being accused of denying competitors access to its mobile wallet technology by EU antitrust regulators, Apple may be forced to make its mobile payment system available to rivals. This is Apple's second EU complaint after the corporation was accused of limiting competition in the music streaming sector by EU authorities last year as a result of a complaint from Spotify. In a lawsuit that might result in a sizable punishment and changes to the iPhone maker's profitable business methods, EU authorities accused Apple of undermining Spotify's ability to compete in the music streaming industry. The initial findings represented the first time Brussels accused Apple of anti-competitive behavior, even though the two parties had previously engaged in contentious disputes, most notably a huge tax issue involving Ireland. After Sweden-based Spotify protested 2 years ago that the American tech giant unlawfully barred competitors to its music streaming platform, Apple Music on iPhones, Apple found itself in the crosshairs of the European Commission. The EU competition watchdog said that the problem stemmed from Apple's stringent guidelines for its App Store, which require developers to utilize its proprietary in-app payment mechanism and forbid them from advising customers of alternative purchase choices. Margrethe Vestager, the European Commission's Commissioner for Competition, claimed that there were obvious indications that Apple's App Store policies were having an impact on the growth of competitor music streaming companies' businesses and on app developers more generally. Apple should stop using restrictive methods, according to Vestager, and avoid taking any actions that might imitate them. She said that the matter was being investigated by other authorities as well. Spotify applauded the EU's action and hailed it as a crucial step in ensuring that Apple is held responsible for its anti-competitive practices, that all consumers have genuine choice, and those app developers are treated equally. With 356 million active users and 158 million paying members, Spotify is the market leader in music streaming and one of Europe's few worldwide consumer technology success stories. Although the corporation doesn't provide a distinct number for that area of its operations, Apple Music, which was just recently introduced in 2015, is believed to have over 70 million users. The two businesses are now more competitive than ever, as they each aim to dominate the podcast industry to increase their consumer bases. The European Commission declared that it had delivered a statement of objections, sometimes known as a charge sheet, to Apple, outlining how the corporation had exploited its dominant position in the markets for digital wallets on iOS devices. According to the Commission, Apple started engaging in anti-competitive behavior in 2015, the year Apple Pay was introduced. According to a statement by Vestager, they have evidence that Apple limited third parties' access to essential technologies needed to create competing mobile payment solutions on Apple's devices. She added that they made a preliminary determination in the statement of objections that Apple could have limited competition to favor its alternative, Apple Pay. According to its income from the previous year, Apple may be fined up to $36.6 billion, or 10% of its global turnover, but EU sanctions seldom reach the maximum. Apple said it will keep working with the Commission. The firm said in a statement that Apple Pay has secured fair access to NFC while establishing industry-leading benchmarks for privacy and security. It is only one of the numerous payment methods offered to European consumers. Over 250 challenger banks and more than 2,500 fintech companies utilize Apple Pay in Europe. On iPhones and iPads, the NFC chip enables tap-and-go payments. Vestager disagreed with the company's security justification. She stated that no evidence has been found in their examination up to this time that would suggest a bigger security concern. On the contrary, the data in their file shows that Apple's actions cannot be excused by security considerations. Before the Commission makes a judgment, which might take a year or more, Apple can request a private hearing to present its case and submit a written rebuttal. The Digital Markets Act, which the EU plans to adopt next year, will oblige Apple to start opening its exclusive ecosystem or face penalties of up to 10% of its annual global revenue. Elon Musk also harshly criticized Apple and explained why this is a horrible behavior, what Apple is doing. According to Elon Musk, this type of business behavior will have only bad results. Elon said, "It is our goal to support the advent of sustainable energy. It is not to create a walled garden and use that to bludgeon our competitors, which is sometimes used by Apple." For example, only in May, Apple failed in its attempt to have a California federal court dismiss a case brought by a rival app store, Cydia, which accused the iPhone manufacturer of maintaining an illegal stranglehold over app distribution on its iOS. In Oakland, California, US District Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers dismissed Apple's argument that Cydia's charges were unlawful because they occurred beyond 4 years permitted by federal antitrust law. Gonzalez-Rogers dismissed an earlier legal challenge before issuing her decision on behalf of the plaintiff, Zurich IT LLC, which created Cydia. She determined that the initial lawsuit's allegations were not subject to the statute of limitations. She did, however, let Cydia submit a fresh case in January. In the updated case, Cydia's attorneys claimed that Apple's technological advancements between 2018 and 2021 constituted overt conduct that damaged iOS software distributors like Cydia. Gonzalez-Rogers stated in the most recent decision that the plaintiff's claims are relevant to the degree that they rely on Apple's technological advancements to completely bar Cydia from operating. The goal of Cydia's lawsuit is to compensate for the significant harm Apple caused Cydia while also opening up the ecosystem for iOS app distribution and iOS app payment services to anyone who wants to fairly compete with Apple. Well, that's it for today.